Let's talk about where the action is at the moment. We've been saying around this table for a while that maybe the investment banking recession is over, behind us. We want to talk about where things are picking up. The IPO market, how strong is the pipeline for this year?
It's building, it's solid, but the conditions that you want to talk about and that investors are looking at as well as issuers are looking at in terms of rate outlook, and not so much the absolute, but particularly the volatility in the rate outlook. We're sitting here with some of the biggest spread in terms of potential outlook for year-end rates in dollars that we've seen in a while. The issuers are going to are looking at that and saying, well, how does that impact not just equity markets, but also investor appetite to be investing in IPOs right now. You're right, we've seen a very strong last few weeks, particularly in the United States, particularly in the healthcare sector. We expect those conditions to continue, but a broader rally and deepening of the markets, I think, relies on some of those other factors.
Has there been a structural shift because of what's developing in private markets that's maybe holding back companies, and basically they've decided they don't need to go public in quite the same way they perhaps needed to decades ago?
I think there has been a shift over decades, and the growth of private markets, not just here in the United States, but around the world, give alternative capital formation opportunities. And you've seen, I think the US is the standout in terms of the public market still being deep, liquid, accepting, very strong following in sectors with multiple comparables. You go elsewhere around the world, UK, for example, very challenging in terms of the number of companies either leaving exchanges, moving to the United States, or not coming to market, and with IPO levels being very significantly down.
Speaking of which, I have to go there. Zeekr came to market in the US, in New York, which is basically an offset of Geely, right? This electric vehicle maker in China did really well. And it just raises larger question of, do you still see the same degree of cross-border IPOs of companies, not just in China, but other places coming to New York? How much are people concerned about some of the geopolitics behind it versus, hey, a lot of people have money, let's go?
I think it's not just that a lot of people have money, but it's also just the depth and quality of the US capital markets. I mean, it is gapping, and it is significantly ahead of the rest of the world. If you go around, I've mentioned the UK, but also the European markets are not as deep as they need to be. Asian markets the same. So I think it's that just continued attraction of the quality of the equity capital markets here in the US.
Is there a rival at this point? We were hearing a lot from Paris. You buying that? John talking to David Solomon, Brian Moynihan, talking about building out in Paris. It's looking better and better from every point of view.
It was Macron doing the selling. Let's be clear about
They were doing the buying.
Right?
So
sure.
Are you doing the buying too?
Particularly in Europe, I'll say that Europe is the place that has to do the most structural change post-Brexit. Because they need to build capital markets. And as you know, they've been trying to build capital markets and banking union for many, many years now. And what you're seeing, I think, in France, in the Netherlands, to a certain extent in Germany, is member states realizing that they need to deepen their independent capital markets before there can be an EU layer created. There is too many impediments. And so what President Macron is talking about is absolutely sensible. And yes, Paris will grow, the markets will deepen, but I don't think, as to your question, will be a competitor to the United States.